These kinds of problems where we're looking at any percentage over 100% or under 10%, we need to work out how we can change these into fractions or decimals. The first thing we need to realise is that if we have 100%, that is the same as 1 whole, which we can write as 1 over 1. If we've got, say, 300%, that's the same as 3 wholes, which is also equal to, if we could write that as a fraction, 3 over 1, so 3 wholes. So this fact here we should always keep in mind. So if we've got 240%, that's the same as 100% plus 100% plus 40%. So we know this is 1 whole, and 40%, remembering that percent means per 100. Okay, so we're really thinking about hundredths when we're considering percent. So 40% is the same as 40 hundredths, which as a decimal, if we've got 40 hundredths, we have 0.40. So we've got 0.4 here. So as a decimal, this is 1 plus 1 plus 0.4, which is 2.4. If we go back to 240%, that we know is 240 hundredths, which means we've got 2 wholes, because we've got 200 hundredths plus 40 hundredths. So we could write that as 2 and 40 hundredths, which is also the same as 2 and 4 tenths. And then we could even go as far as simplifying the 4 tenths to give us, so we divide that by 2, divide that by 2, we get 2 and 2/5. So fraction, decimal, and percentage. Let's have a look at 1.95 as a percentage and a fraction. So the 1 there, if we're thinking about percentages, we know that that 1 whole refers to 100%, and the 0.9, that 0.95, 0.95 is equal to 95 hundredths. So remember, when we're converting a decimal to a fraction, go to the last decimal place, identify what place that last digit is in. So that 5 is in the hundredths, so that becomes our denominator, and then as the numerator we just write that 95 on the top in the numerator. So we've got 100% plus 0.95. Okay, so if we're writing this as a percentage, we know that that is 95%. So 100% plus 95% means we have 195%. And another way you could think about that is any decimal, regardless of what it is, if you multiply it by 100, that will always give you the percentage. So as a fraction, 1.95. So if you look at the last digit, which is the 5, that is in the hundredths place. So that's going to be our denominator. And we've got 195 hundredths. So percentage, fraction, and decimal. Let's look at this last example here. So we've got 9/5. 9/5, if we were to write that as a fraction, would look like this, 9/5, which as an improper fraction we can change into a mixed number. So that would be 1 and 4/5. So we want to change this to a percentage and a decimal. So if we're thinking about just the 4/5 part, we could change that into hundredths. Okay, so if we multiply that 5, that denominator, by 20, we'd get 100, which means we also need to multiply the numerator by 20. That will give us 80. So 80 hundredths we know is 0.80. So that 4/5 means we've got 0.80 there, and the 1, the 1 we know is 1 whole. So as a decimal we have 1.8. Multiplying this by 100 would give us the decimal. So if we multiply by 100, another little quick trick we could do is just move the decimal point to the right 2 spots. Each time we so-called move the decimal point, we're actually multiplying by 10. So see how I'm moving it 2 spots? That actually means I'm multiplying by 100. So I would get 180%. So 9/5 is the same as 1 and 4/5, which is the same as 1.8, which is equal to 180%. Okay, here's a few more examples. 1%. So always the percent means per hundredth. So 1% is the same as 100th. And as a decimal, if we've got 100th, that would look like this. Okay, 0.085 is a decimal. To change that into a percentage, we can multiply by 100. So 2, we would end up with 8.5%. And to write that as a fraction, again go to the last digit, identify the place that that digit is in. So that 5 is in the thousandths place. So that's going to be our denominator, and we've got 85 of them, so 85 thousandths. The next example, we've got 6 thousandths. So if I write that as this way, so 6 thousandths, 6 will appear in the thousandths place, so tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So we've got 6 of them. We've got no hundredths and no tenths, so we end up with a decimal, 0.006, and then a decimal to a percentage, we're multiplying by 100. So our decimal point multiplied by 10, multiplied by another 10, would end up there. So 0.6. So our 3 numbers are 0.6 percent, sorry, that's 0.6%. The decimal is 0.006 and the fraction is 6 thousandths. Okay, the last one we have 0.8%, which means 0.8% means we've actually got 0.8 hundredths. So we don't actually have a whole hundredth, we have 0.8 hundredths, which means we have 8 thousandths. And if I were to write that as a decimal, it would look like this, 0.008. And just to convert that back into a percentage, if we were to multiply this decimal by 100 to give us the percentage, we would end up with 0.8%, which is our original question. So the key here is to, when we're converting between percentages, decimals and fractions, if we've got a percentage and we want to convert that to a decimal, we can divide by 100 to give a decimal. So of course, to go the other way round, so if we've got the decimal and we want to convert it into a percentage, we're going to multiply by 100. When we're going from a decimal to a fraction, if possible, convert to a decimal fraction. And then if we've got our fraction to convert to a percentage, you would need to endeavour to change the fraction to tenths or hundredths or thousandths, and then that easily allows you to convert to a percentage.